now that we've gone over the steps to graphing a linear relation briefly, we're actually going to graph one. So we're going to take the equation y equals negative 4x plus 5 and put it on a graph, just like we discussed. All right, so your first step is to create a table of values, and the way you're going to do this is by choosing random values of x, subbing them into your equation, y equals negative 4x plus 5, and determining the corresponding y values. So your first step in creating a table of values is choosing appropriate values for x. These can be any numbers, just make sure that they're easy numbers. You don't want to choose numbers that are too big, too small, and by too small I mean decimals, fractions, anything like that, anything that's going to make your life more difficult than it has to be. So we're going to choose negative 1, 0, and 2 as our x values. So let's just copy these x values back into this chart as well. So our next step is to use substitution of the three numbers that we picked into the equation given to find the matching y values. So when you're doing this, you need to make sure to follow your BEDMAS rules, because if you don't, you will mess it up and get the wrong corresponding y values. And make sure to copy your answers into the table of values you made. So the way we do this, if you see it says y equals negative 4, and we see an x, so we're going to substitute in the first x that we chose, which is negative 1 plus 5. Now if you look at BEDMAS, there are no brackets or well, there are brackets right here, but there's no operations to be done within the brackets, so we can move on. No exponents or division.
Mr. Sardo, please pick up 101. Mr. Sardo, please pick up 101.
So no exponents or division, but there is a multiplication between negative 4 and negative 1. If you do this multiplication out, you get positive 4 because a negative and a negative makes a positive, and you're going to add 5, just carrying that down. Y equals 4 plus 5, which is 9. So you want to take this 9 and copy it into your table of values. So we're going to do the same thing. Y equals negative 4x. This time our x value is 0 plus 5. You do your multiplication first. Negative 4 times 0 is 0 plus 5, and y equals 5, as you can see. Lastly, we're plugging in the 2. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, because we know that a negative and a positive equals a negative. And negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. So once this step is done, you have a nice table of values with 3 x values and 3 corresponding y values. And we can go on to step number 3. So we know that the horizontal axis here is the x, and the vertical one is the y. Okay? So you know that our x values range from negative 1 to 0 to 2, and our y values range from 9 to 5 to negative 3. So we're going to change this graph by adding in the axes. And you know that the x values need to range from negative 1, which is here, to 0 to 2. So if we look at what we've done on our graph so far, we've included all the things that we need to, so we can start adding in the scale. Now, as you can see, we've done a scale going by 1 on the horizontal axis. And if we do the same on the y-axis, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in the negatives, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9. So if we look at that, in the positive axis, it goes all the way up to 8. Since we only go to 9, you probably just want to leave it going by 1 so you get a more accurate graph. So 1, 2, 3, dot, 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 negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, dot, dot, dot. Okay, so once we've chosen the appropriate axes, we can go on to the next step, which is plot your ordered pairs. So I've written here, remember that the x value deals with the horizontal and the y value deals with the vertical. We have that written in. A cool way to remember this, if you look at the letter y, there's a vertical stick in it, and if you look at the letter x, there is no such thing. So you can remember which one is the y by the shape of the letter itself. Anyways, next we can go on to plotting the points. So your first ordered pair is negative 1, comma 9. So got that from my table of values, and the way we plot that is we start at the origin, and we go -1, so left 1, and then up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And remember, we're going up 1 because we've added, because we exceeded the scale we chose by 1. So our next point is going to be 0, 5. So we go left or right 0 and up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point's going to go there. And our last point is 2, -3. So we're going over 2 and down 3. So we can now go on to our next step. So our last step is probably our most easy one. It's join the points with a straight line. Now, I'm not actually going to do this because the device I'm recording on makes it really hard to do so. But when you guys are doing it on your paper, I do expect you to use a ruler to make this line. And this is just so that when you're doing future problems involving this stuff, you get the right answer. Because if you don't use a ruler, you won't. So I'm going to connect them with as straight of a line as I can. It's not very straight. Anyways, that would be how you finish off the question. So once you've joined the points with a straight line, you have yourself a linear relation on a graph.